Welcome into college football, every game on the board, bowl special here. This is the middle portion of bowl season with mid-major Matt. We are breaking it down 12 to 13 bowls until next Tuesday. So, hey, you can just go through. We're starting with the Hawaii Bowl, and we are going down to Georgia Southern App State next Tuesday. Follow Matt on Twitter at mid-major Matt. You can find me at Drew Martin Betts. Matt, welcome in, bud. How you feeling this bowl season?
Doing well. Bowl season, the games themselves haven't necessarily been the best, but I enjoy all of them. So, yeah, I've enjoyed bowl season so far, and I feel like we've got a lot of interesting games to talk about here coming up this segment. And, we've had some good stuff so far, so I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And you bring up, they haven't all been the best, but, one of my favorites, it really is. It's this first one. It is the Wednesday night, which is Christmas Eve, by the way, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Hawaii Bowl. They've been doing this for years. I've been watching it for years and betting on it for years. It is California and Hawaii out on the island, Aloha Stadium, or actually it's CT Complex, something of that nature. But either way, it is Hawaii's home field. And it now is Hawaii as a -1 or -1.5 home favorite, 51 being the total. I do say home favorite because they are playing on their home field, and it is a flip favorite. It opened as Cal as -2.5. So what are we thinking here out on the island? People maybe having some parties, some festivals, the game on in the background. Somebody wants to have a little action on it, Matt. Which way would you point them?
So there's a lot of interesting angles to this game, to say the least. You've got the Cal side of things. Their head coach right now, because Justin Wilcox got fired, is Nick Rolovich, who's coming back to Hawaii. He was a coach for Hawaii for years. Cal's starting quarterback, who has already said he is coming back for next year. He's a Hawaiian kid. So you've got two angles on that side, but usually I like to lean to Hawaii in this situation because it feels like a lot of times when you play the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve, the opponent usually wants to treat this like a vacation almost. Like, you're going to the Hawaiian Islands for Christmas Eve. Who knows? I'm guessing they may fly back that night or they may celebrate Christmas out in Hawaii. So, I usually like to take the opponent. Now, the opt-out situation, I mean, there's not a lot of opt-outs in this thing. The one that's a worry for Hawaii is their number one wide receiver, Jackson Harris, is out for this game. He is entering the portal. Now, the important thing here is when it comes to the bowl games, some teams let their portal guys play. Western Kentucky for years has let their portal guys play. So just because someone is entering the portal doesn't mean that they're not going to play in this game. So that's something you always have to look at here. I have a slight lean to Hawaii. I mean, for those who have to play this game or who want to absolutely play this game, my lean's to Hawaii. It's not one of my favorite plays, but I just feel like this is a team that's used to this sort of situation every year. They're playing in this game, it feels like, and it's Christmas Eve, and the one weather situation is ton of wind. And Cal, you can run on. Now, the Hawaii doesn't run it a ton, but Hawaii might want to start running it a little bit more, especially with their number one wide receiver out. My lean is to Hawaii here. Small play, nothing that I absolutely love.
Yeah, a couple things I want to throw in, Matt. One, this is a singled out game, and it is Christmas Eve, Wednesday. There's going to be a lot of tickets written on it, so watch the line, guys. Like, if you like one side and you like the number, I'd get on it sooner than later because there might be, wild movement in this one just because a lot of people betting it. Another thing that I will say, Matt, is Hawaii's been a monster at home in terms of cashing tickets. You go back, I think they've cashed like 12 straight at home. They haven't won 12 straight at home, but against the spread, for whatever reason, playing on the island, they've been making money. Now, on the road, they haven't been nearly the same team, but that home road split, that's something that I take notice of.
Yeah, and it's also, as they're used to this. Like, they know they can count their their time and say, all right, it's Christmas Eve, we're playing the Hawaii Bowl, we're playing at home. Cal's not used to this. Cal's going to Hawaii, and this is where the coaching staff has to balance. You do want to let your kids have a little fun while you're in Hawaii. I know it's a business trip of sorts, and Nick Rolovich, more than anybody else, probably understands what it's like for the opponents that come in there. So I think that's going to be a huge help for Cal here. And then obviously the quarterback reaffirming for next year and being a Hawaiian kid, he's going to want to try. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think there could be a lot of points. I'm guessing if you like the over, you should take it now because it's one of those classic situations of, It's, as you said, solo game, much like the Super Bowl. Nobody's betting the under. Nobody's watching this game and rooting for punts. So, like, if you like the over, I would say you should probably take it now, because as we get closer, it's probably going to go up a little bit.
All right, Matt, we'll turn the page here. We got NFL on Thursday, and then we got, which, by the way, if you like anything on Christmas NFL, feel free to throw it out. But Friday, December 26th, the Sports Bowl, Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan. CMU in Northwestern. This is 1 o'clock Eastern on Friday, the day after Christmas. It's Northwestern, the Big Ten team, minus 10.5. Heavy favorites here against the Chippewas, 43.5 being the total. This is where the Detroit Lions play their home games, but it's Central Michigan, the MAC team, up against Northwestern, the Big Ten team.
So this is always an interesting game, because this one, more than a lot of them, you have to handicap motivation. This is where you have to say, because look, if this was a week 3 game, you're taking Northwestern 9 times out of 10 because they need to win this game for the future. But this is the day after Christmas, and you always have to wonder, what's the motivation here? How happy is this team to be in this game? And so you look at the Northwestern side of things. They entered this game having lost 4 of their last 5. They did not make a bowl last year, but 2 years ago they made a bowl. I can remember you and I, the first week of the season, Drew, I forget who, I think it was Tulane, whoever their first week, Northwestern, the first week I said, you know what? Northwestern's going to have a better year this year. They brought in a legitimate quarterback in Preston Stone. Well, Preston Stone's 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He's been bad this year. The only teams worse than Northwestern in the red zone were Ball State, Nevada, Sam Houston State, UMass, and Maryland. So, Northwestern's one of the worst red zone teams in America. They had some running back injuries, but it looks like Caleb, I'm not even going to try and say his last name. He's the number 1 running back after the injury. He's expected back for this game. So that's the Northwestern side of things. You look at Central Michigan. They haven't made a bowl since 2021. This is a team that wants to run the ball. They have run it 511 times and thrown it 229 times. Now, one of the key injuries here is Angel Flores, their backup quarterback. He is kind of the mobile guy. He is the guy that they use when they want to run the ball. He looks like he's going to be healthy here, which is huge for this offense because they succeed more when he's in there. This is an offensive line that's only surrendered 19 sacks so far this season and has a 70.4% completion percentage. So Flores is huge for this team, even though he's not the starter. Now, all these great numbers for Central Michigan are great, but it's against the 128th ranked schedule. Northwestern's played the 36th ranked schedule. So basically, this is me long talking my way. I really do want to play Central Michigan plus the points here. My concern is the one-dimensional nature of their team. Now, here's the other key part of our podcast here. We're doing this on December 23rd. There still could be opt-outs. There still could be people entering the portal. There could be injuries. There could be anything. So the handicap changes as we get closer with more information. But right now, I kind of lean to Central Michigan here. I think the Chippewas have what it takes. Their defense is not terrible. Northwestern's not exactly dynamic here. So my lean is to Central Michigan. I have a feeling, though, maybe you could tell me too, I have a feeling more Northwestern money might come in, Drew, and maybe we can get this at a better number, or do you think we're kind of at the top here?
I mean, it's going to depend on opt-outs for sure, but I mean, if we don't get many, I don't know, because it opened 12.5. Now we're seeing 10.5. So that means, the money's kind of come on CMU, on Central Michigan here. And I'd say more times than not, in just the betting landscape in general, the money continues to flow. The trend is your friend. It doesn't usually bounce back unless there's a change. Now, that could happen. I don't know. I thought you brought up some great points on both sides. This isn't a game that I bet, Matt.
Yeah, I haven't bet this one yet either. So I am, when it comes to bowl season, I am the guy who basically waits as much as possible. I'd rather miss the best number but have the most information as opposed to running and taking things. So I have not played this game yet, but my lean right now would be to Central Michigan. Of course, things change barring opt-outs and changes like that. Northwestern's probably excited to be there, but they're playing a MAC team who's going to be really excited to play a Power 4 opponent. So I lean to Central Michigan here.
Shout out to the chat box, both on YouTube and Twitter, at MidMajor Matt, at Drew Martin Bets, on YouTube, every game on the board, wherever you're downloading your podcast at, every game on the board. We got the Hawaii Bowl, Christmas Eve, the True Degenerate special. I don't know that it's that degenerate. I mean, I feel like having some money on Christmas Eve, the singled out game. But yeah, I get where you're going with that. Thanks. Levi, welcome in. Sea-Line Escobar, not really in the Christmas mood here with your comment, but thanks for joining us anyway. All right, Friday, December 26th. Next one up, mid-afternoon, 4:30 Eastern, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Chase Field, Phoenix, Arizona. Do note this is a baseball stadium where the Diamondbacks play their home games. I'm not sure if they leave the infield up there or not, but either way, New Mexico and Minnesota. It is 43 and a hook, low total here, -2.5. That is the Golden Gophers as the quote unquote home favorite. So we get a little Mountain West versus Big Ten action here in the afternoon on Friday. It is New Mexico and Minnesota with a competitive point spread here, Matt.
So, you know what we do? I mean, it's one of my trends for Minnesota games. I've already taken under 10 points in the first quarter to kind of go along with what I've said. For those who haven't watched our podcast, at least my version of it, one of my favorite bets is the first quarter under involving Minnesota games. And the statistic that helps play into this, Minnesota's averaging 0.9 points per first quarter this season against FBS opponents. That's dead last in FBS games. So for years, I've done this. It's 3 or 4 years when it comes to this because Minnesota is one of those teams, it feels like, that still huddles. They're still very slow, and they don't score points. New Mexico, along the same lines, is 104th in first quarter points, 4.1 points per first quarter against FBS opponents. I actually got an even 10. There's a lot of 9.5s out there. So if you can find a 10, great. That gives you the protection of the field goal and the touchdown here. But this is a classic game of motivation versus numbers. If you look, PJ Fleck has not lost a bowl game yet in his career at Minnesota. He's 6-0. Minnesota is a team that has not impressed at all so far this season. They have a ton of people who aren't going to play in this game. Their second running backs in the portal. Their top wide receiver, or one of their top wide receivers, has declared for the draft. And actually 5 other wide receivers have entered the portal. So like this team is going to be down a bunch of wide receivers when it comes to this contest. The other thing that's kind of interesting is PJ Fleck doesn't talk a lot about opt-outs. So this could be one of those classic situations where we get to game time and somebody's not out there and he just isn't talking about it. The one guy to watch here, Darius Taylor, the running back. He is averaging 160.5 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in 2 career bowl games. He's been awesome in bowl games. Minnesota's defense, which is important for the first quarter under, their top 2 tacklers, Maverick Borowski and Devin Williams, they're going to be in the lineup. They were not healthy. They are going to play in this game. So Minnesota's defense, at least for the most part, knock on wood, should be pretty healthy here. New Mexico hasn't made a bowl game since 2016. Their head coach, who, by the way, I understand that the head coach of the year bet is going to always almost go to a major Power 4 coach. What Jason Eck has done at New Mexico is nothing short incredible. Like, that was a dead program, and they brought him in there, and now they're in a bowl game for the first time since 2016. Now, I don't love their quarterback, Jack Lane. If you can get pressure on him, he goes from a 77.4% completion percentage in a clean pocket to 39.3% when facing pressure. Minnesota's defense should be pretty much intact. There might be a guy or two who are out for this one. So first quarter under is the play I made. And my slight lean here is I'm going to go with the fact that PJ manages to get his guys to play. I think it's great that New Mexico's in this game. I have a slight lean to Minnesota money line here. Look, it's a reasonable money line because it's 2.5, 3. Slight lean to Minnesota here because I believe PJ Fleck gets his guys ready. But if we get wind that like Darius Taylor's not going to play or somebody else is not going to play, then be ready to jump in on New Mexico right before kickoff.
Good point on the Lobos. I didn't realize it'd been that long since they've been into a bowl game. But yeah, Jason Eck obviously doing a great job there in Albuquerque. All right, we got next one up Friday night, 8:00 Eastern. It is FIU and UTSA. So an interesting one here, Matt. -5.5. That is the Roadrunners as the quote-unquote home favorite. They are playing in Dallas, Texas, Gerald J. Ford Stadium there. 60 being the total. This FIU team, I bet on them, bet against them, had some success, but I'll tell you this, Matt, they are up and down. You don't know what you're getting with the FIU Golden Panthers, and they're having to go on the road. It might be, cold temps? I believe this is an outdoor stadium. I don't like that with a FIU team, but hey, they are catching 5.5. Do you like anything with the Panthers?
Played at SMU's stadium. I
Oh,
think
is it?
that's where they're
Okay.
playing. I think that's where this game is. So, UTSA is going to have the clear home field advantage there, being not as far from Dallas as FIU is. But here's the interesting thing. When you look at what Coach Trailer of UTSA has already said, his team will be without 10 to 20 players due to opt-outs, injuries, and portal. He's going to have at least 4 starting defensive players in the portal. And here's the other thing. We don't know who some of the others are. So, like, there could be guys that once again come, start time, we start seeing this line go in different directions because somebody important is out. I don't think, like, Owen McCown will be out. I do think that UTSA's backup quarterback has experience, so that may not hurt as much. On the FIU side of things, they have not made a bowl since 2019. They have 2 quarterbacks who are injured. But their head coach, who I really like, and I'm glad he's staying, he said both of them should be available. He actually said he might play both of them, Joe Pasansky and Keon Jenkins. I watched one of the games, I think the Sam Houston game, and Jenkins looked really good in that game. I think Jenkins has got some talent there. The FIU side of things for defense, 2 corners and a safety are in the portal. So, like, if Owen McCown and if those wide receivers play, UTSA should be able to do whatever they want through the air because FIU's secondary will be ravaged by departures for this game. To me, this feels like an over. Now, once again, the weather right now looks good. No wind issues, no temperature issues. Look, I think it's like going to be like 60 degrees or something like that in Dallas, Texas for this game. So if we're going to get everything clean, I kind of like the over here because I feel like both teams have some advantages. If UTSA can't get pressure on Jenkins and Pasansky, like that, they're going to have time to be able to throw to whoever they want. And if FIU have so many guys in the secondary that are injured, I think Owen McCown should be able to do whatever he wants. So give me the over here. Slight lean sidewise to FIU, but give me the over here as the play I would like the most.
Yeah, Jenkins is a good player at the quarterback position. He was a 4-star recruit. He had some scholarship offers to SEC schools. He won the state championship at Miami Central. But to tell you the truth, if he ends up not playing, the backup I thought looked pretty good for FIU for whatever that's worth, guys. All right, we'll move down Saturday, December 27th, the Military Bowl, Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium, Annapolis, Maryland. I believe this is where Navy plays their home games. It is Pitt and ECU. -10, that is Pittsburgh as the quote-unquote road favorite, 55.5 being the total. So Pitt in East Carolina here on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, real early start.
Yeah, remember, we're now getting further and further away from today, so news will change and things like that. But by the way, I have been at this bowl game when Temple played Wake Forest. I was at that game. It's in Annapolis, gorgeous campus. Gorgeous campus. Highly recommend anybody goes there if they get the opportunity. Weather-wise, wind could be an issue for this game. 10 to 15 mile per hour wind gusts, maybe even a little higher here. Let's talk about who's not going to play. On the Pittsburgh side of things, running back Desmond Reed and linebacker Kyle Lewis have opted out for this game. Now, Reed has been injured, so it's not as huge of a deal. I mean, he's a really good running back, but they've had other guys take over, so it's not that important here. On the East Carolina side of things, East Carolina, by the way, played in this game last year. They were in the Military Bowl against NC State. So, like, what's the motivation here? How excited are they to be in this game? Their quarterback, Caton Hauser, has entered the portal. Their tight end, Javonte Connor, Yannick Smith, a wide receiver. So the offense is going to be a little bit of an issue. That means Mike Wright, who I feel like has been in college football for years, or Chaston Didda, who is a freshman, will be the quarterback. Now, Didda is more, and I apologize if I botched his name, he's more the passer. Mike Wright is more the runner. So I'm guessing we probably will see both of them anyway in certain situations. The other thing for East Carolina is the offensive coordinator is left and the defensive coordinator is left. So the reason why we saw the jump in this line is because East Carolina is going to be, a different team than we're used to. Now, the question is, what's Pitt's motivation for this game? Like, I get it. Pitt has had a decent season, but, like, their season could have been so much more, and now they're playing in the Military Bowl. So, to me, if this line keeps going up, I might take a look at East Carolina plus the points here. Now, granted, it's Saturday. I won't put a play in this game until Friday night probably because I want to make sure to get the most information. But to me, if this line keeps going up, like, I don't know, I might need 12 or 13 or something like that. But I look, East Carolina's defense is not terrible. I think they can keep them in this game. And so, yeah, East Carolina's offense might be an issue, but I think East Carolina's defense could keep them in this game as long as no one else leaves. So I'm going to wait here, see if I can't get any more points. And if I do, I'm looking at East Carolina.
All right, looking towards ECU as we got the second of 8 bowl games on Saturday. So a loaded bowl card on Saturday, December 27th, with the next one up, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, the Pinstripe Bowl, Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York. It is Penn State and Clemson. Pretty good matchup here, Matt. We're seeing Clemson, the Tigers, minus 3-point favorites, 48 and a half being the total. So Yankee Stadium, it is Penn State and Clemson.
So by the way, we might see snow showers in this game. Now, once again, as I said, Tuesday, weather changes, but there is a chance for snow showers, which would kind of fit this whole game. So it's best to talk about who's not playing in this game. So according to Clemson, according to Dabo, 27 players are missing this game. They will be without 7 of their top 12 defensive players by snap count, 5 of their top 11, 5 of their top 12 on offense. And by the way, I've seen a lot of these stats. I use Stuckey's Action Network portal stuff to kind of mix in some of the own research that I do. So some of these statistics are courtesy of him, who does a great job of kind of checking out a lot of these things and putting them in one healthy document. On the Clemson side for defense, DeMonte Capehart, Peter Woods, TJ Parker, Avion Terrell, all entering the draft. Wide receiver Antonio Williams entering the draft. Key thing for Clemson is Cade Klubnik is playing in this game, which is great. I think that's absolutely fantastic for Clemson that Cade Klubnik's going to play. Who knows who else is not going to play? I mean, if Dabo's saying 27 players are missing this game, we only know like 10 to 12 of them. So who else is going to be out there that's not going to play in this game? On the Penn State side of things, running back Nick Singleton, he is opting out. Captain defensive tackle Zane Durant, he is opting out. Their corner, A.J. Harris, he is transferring out. Linebacker Alex Tatch, who he got hurt apparently during bowl prep, so he is out. The co-offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, and the offensive line coach are all gone for Penn State. So, like, this is a Penn State team that I don't know what we're going to get from them. Here's the thing, though. They love their interim head coach. They love the guy. And there are certain players who are saying they are going to play in this game. I believe Katron Allen came out and said, yes, I'm playing in this game. There are other players who said that they're going to play in this game. As much as I kind of like Penn State in this game. It's crazy to me. Like, I just don't know what Clemson's motivation is. I just don't know. I don't know what either team's motivation is. This is being played in a baseball stadium, potentially in the snow. So, I don't know what either team's motivation is. I probably won't bet this game, but right now, I kind of lean to Penn State. I just feel like their interim head coach is going to get them to play a little bit more than Dabo might get Clemson to play. I don't know what Clemson's defense is going to look like. I don't know what anything's going to look like in this game. So if you made me play anything, Drew, my lean is to Penn State here because I just feel like Penn State has the motivation to win for their interim head coach.
Makes a lot of sense, Matt. And guys, if you're new to the show, mid-major Matt Josephs, he works at ESPN Richmond there. He covers the ACC closely, ACC media days, things of that nature. What's your view on Clemson, the head coach, Dabo Swinney, moving forward? There seems to be a little rumblings there. How do you think this is going to play out?
I think eventually at some point Dabo's going to leave before they get to him, before they fire him. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But Dabo's got to change. He's got to embrace the transfer portal more. I know he brought in 2 or 3 guys this year. He's got to embrace the portal and NIL more. He can't be one of these guys who thinks he's better than everybody else by not doing it, because as we've seen, he's not better than everybody else. This is kind of like the Notre Dame syndrome, where Notre Dame is sitting there saying they're better than everybody else because they're not in a conference and everything. Dabo thinks he's better than everyone because he's not using the portal. So he's got to change a little bit. He's got to have an off season of introspection and kind of realize that college football is moving on. And either he's got to change or he's got to leave. But I think he's going to stay a couple more years and he's going to change. And Clemson's going to be back to what we thought they were going to be.
Matt, we got UConn and Army up next. The Black Knights -9, -9.5, 44 being the total. I'll be right back, though, while you break it down.
All right, so the Fenway Bowl, another baseball stadium here, and if we're handicapping motivation, obviously Army disappointed with the way the Army-Navy game went. weather could be a factor here. Snow showers and wind. Like, this is going to be an ugly game. And the one thing I've always talked about here on the show, when we have Army and Navy, and we talk about like the weather and things like that, is if there are 3 programs with the Air Force, if there's 3 programs who can handle anything, it's Army, Navy, and Air Force. So, like, I don't think they're going to be bothered by potential snow showers and wind. And once again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record. It is Tuesday. We're doing this podcast on Tuesday. This game is on Saturday, and you're not getting anything out of Army. Like, you're just not. Army's not going to tell you transfer portal stuff. They're not going to tell you injuries. So we're just not going to know who's available for Army in this game. I'm going to assume they're all going to play. I actually look to see, because we've talked about, I guess, one of the fallacies almost is that the longer you have to prepare for the triple option, the better off you are. I think Army's covered like 4 of their last 5 bowl games. So, like, that hasn't affected Army at all. On the UConn side of things, 11 players are in the portal, but it seems like a lot of them are going to play. There was a story that came out. Skylar Bell is playing in this game. He has nothing to play for whatsoever. His draft stock, whatever. Like, he is going to play in this game. Also, running back Cam Edwards is going to play in this game. Now, who's not going to play in this game? UConn's number 1 quarterback, Joe Fagnano. He is not playing in this game. Nick Evers there's a lot of rumors about him that say he might transfer. He might not play in this game. If he doesn't play, we are looking at QB4 potentially for UConn. If he plays, UConn should be able to move the ball a little bit. The one thing with our Army is you can move the ball on that defense. You can in certain ways. Now, remember, the head coach is gone. So UConn's playing for an interim head coach here. This is another one of those games that I'm going to wait until we get closer and see if we can get clarity as to who UConn's quarterback is. But if Skylar Bell is going to play and Cam Edwards is going to play, I'm looking at an over potentially for UConn's team total. Right now it's 16.5. I think they can score on Army if they get the right quarterback here. Now, if they get QB4, Army should win this game rather easily. So I need a little clarity on UConn's quarterback situation, which we may get as we get closer to start time for this one. But that's the way I'm looking here is I want UConn if we get Nick Evers in this game, and especially if Skylar Bell and Cam Edwards play.
Matt, sorry about that. Home studio, Christmas week, and somebody rings the doorbell when you're doing a live podcast, man. Hey, welcome into it. I'm sure it was a great breakdown, though.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It was a fantastic breakdown. What I also said was there's weather, Drew, snow showers and wind potentially in this game. So, like, the one team that's not going to affect is Army. So, look, if UConn, these guys say they're going to play in this game, but as we get closer, if they all of a sudden get a change of heart, like, Army should win. What you could do is you could pair Army off with Army's money line off with something else that you really like in bowl season, and that way you don't have to ask Army to cover. You just ask them to win the game. I think they win this game, but I think UConn keeps it close if the quarterback situation goes our way.
And one other thing I'll throw in here, because you bring up the weather, both in New York and Boston, it's both in baseball stadiums. And one thing I've noticed just from watching these games in the past is it's not like, say, like Hard Rock Stadium, like the Dolphins, where it's all covered all around. Sometimes a baseball stadium can be open on one side. Therefore, the wind even changes even more. So something to watch there with the weather on Saturday, at least in the early games. We got next one up, Camping World Stadium, Orlando, Florida. This is the old Citrus Bowl. 3:30 Eastern, it is Georgia Tech and BYU. We are seeing the Cougars -4.5. There is a -5 out there as the favorite, 56.5 being the total. So it's the ACC and the Big 12, Georgia Tech and BYU here in Orlando, Matt.
Yeah, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the best bowl of them all.
Yeah.
We love the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and we love both teams have special helmets, I believe, with sprinkles on them. So that's pretty cool. I love the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Every year after the Pop-Tarts Bowl, I go to the supermarket and buy some Pop-Tarts, and then I'm like, I remember why I don't buy Pop-Tarts, because it's not bad. I like Pop-Tarts. I just don't, the two, I usually just want to eat one of them at a time. Whatever, that's something else. So BYU looks pretty good right now, really good. Like, I don't see a lot of injuries. I don't see a lot of opt-outs here. It looks like BYU is going to be close to whole for this game. And the most important thing for them is LJ Martin has to be good, because you can run on Georgia Tech. Like, Georgia Tech's run defense, one of the worst in the country. I'll be looking at LJ Martin props, rushing props. I'll be looking to put LJ Martin in my FanDuel and DraftKings DFS lineups. Like, as long as he's playing in this game, I think LJ Martin finds some success, certainly putting him in there for a touchdown in this contest. On the Georgia Tech side of things, the backup quarterback's in the transfer portal. The starting center is in the transfer portal. So if Haynes King, who is expected to play, gets hurt, we're going to a third string quarterback. Something to consider here, certainly. Haynes King, the way he plays, Drew, he is a very physical quarterback. He is not one to shy away from contact. So, like, if we're not getting the backup quarterback and we're getting the third string quarterback, that is something to certainly consider in the handicap here. The other important thing is Buster Faulkner, gone. The offensive coordinator, the guy who creates all the plays, the guy who is the offensive genius behind this offense, he is no longer there. He went to your school, right? Did Auburn hire him? I forget which SEC school hired Buster Faulkner. Is it Florida or is it Auburn?
I'll look it up.
So yeah, he's gone to to an SEC school, I believe. So Chris Weinke is now their new offensive coordinator this week. And look, as Chris Weinke's worked in that staff, so I'm sure he's familiar with the offense and stuff like that. But this is a brand new role for Chris Weinke. So like we're getting a Georgia Tech team that's going to potentially look a little different offensively here. I don't have a love in this game. My slight lean is to BYU. I think BYU wins this game as long as they stay intact roster-wise. I think BYU is going to play with some extra motivation for the fact that they didn't get into the college football playoff. I don't think they'll be hungover in this game at all. They're saying all the right things, and I just don't think Georgia Tech's defense is that good. I don't like the fact that they don't have their offensive coordinator, and I don't like the fact that their backup quarterback's not healthy or not playing in this game. So if Haynes King gets hurt, we're going back to the third stringer. So slightly in the BYU here.
He went to Florida, I'm seeing.
Okay. I knew he went to an SEC school, but I forgot because all the SEC schools have coaching openings. So I forgot which one it was.
It's tough to keep up with, particularly when you start, going towards the coordinator and position coach level, just to keep up with all these changes for sure. As we got next one up, Arizona Stadium, the Arizona Bowl, Tucson, Arizona, where the University of Arizona plays their home games, 4:30 Eastern. 1:30 Pacific. I don't know if Arizona's in the Pacific or the Mountain Time this time of year, but either way, early afternoon. Arizona State -5.5, -6. 41 and a hook being the total. So a low total here in the desert, Miami of Ohio and Fresno State, Matt.
I'm not going to lie. This is the game I have the least feel on for the day. Fresno State's a really tough team to handicap because there was a stretch where their offense was brutal. I know that I had several team total unders for Fresno State this season, and there was a stretch. I mean, they brought E.J. Warner in, the former Temple and Rice quarterback, and he was brutal. He had more interceptions than touchdowns at one point. They made a change of quarterback, and they got a little bit better. And then, look, normally I would go Miami of Ohio in this situation. Chuck Martin, 6-0 in bowl games against the spread. But this is a team that has a ton of guys in the portal. Cam Perry, the wide receiver, who's very good. He's in the portal. Their best defensive player, Adam Trick, defensive end. A corner is in the portal. Their best offensive lineman, Drew Terrell, is in the portal. A right tackle, to say the least. Their freshman quarterback, who was really good this season for a couple of games, he was so bad in the MAC championship game, they benched him for Henry Hessen, and Henry's not good either. Henry Hessen, whatever it is. He's not very good either. So, I want to back this team because I believe in Chuck Martin, but this is going to be a true test for Chuck Martin's 6-0 ATS in bowl games. This is a true test because I don't know where the quarterback's going. They've got other decent players on offense, decent skill position guys, but my concern here is their defense is not going to be as good as it was. So I might look at a Miami, Ohio team total under 17.5 in this game. We're getting the nice, neat number. I don't have to buy a point in either direction. I just don't know where the points are coming from here with Cam Perry out and with the quarterback struggling a little bit. So I want to back Miami of Ohio, but that transfer portal situation scares me a little bit. So this is the game I have the least interest in terms of betting this day. So a slight lean to Miami, Ohio under 17.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, Miami of Ohio, that quarterback situation, there was something else going on, Matt. I mean, it was DeCon Finn. He said he's getting ready to go to the NFL, which I think was a lie. I think something happened off the field. And then they brought in that kid Hessen. He didn't play very well. Then they brought in a freshman that did play very well. He was running the ball, throwing the ball. He won the state title there in Ohio a couple times in high school. And he looked good, but then it got to the MAC championship game against Western Michigan. He looked like a deer in headlights. It was just a little bit too much for him. So I don't know if he's going to bounce back. I don't know what the situation is, but that whole quarterback situation at Miami of Ohio, it was a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, and losing your number one wide receiver, who is one of the best wide receivers in the G5, like that's not going to help things at all. Now, there's opportunities for other people to step up, so it's not like they're going to be completely lost. But I just, as I said, I want to take Miami, Ohio plus the points. I love Chuck Martin, and you want to back coaches who are really good in bowl games, whether it's winning straight up or covering the spread. But like this is a really tough situation for him because Miami of Ohio lost a lot of guys before the season, to whatever. And so their defense was awesome. And now their defense is going to be without a corner and their best defensive end. So like, what's going to happen here? So as I said, things could change. If this number keeps going up, I don't think it will. I might be interested in the MAC school, but for now, I'm just looking to fade them team total wise.
Did the information ever come out on whatever happened with DeQuan Finn? Or
no, he's getting ready for the draft. That's all we know.
Which you quit on your team that's up for the MAC championship to get ready for the NFL. I'm sure the NFL GMs, all 32 of them, love that profile going in, right?
So here's the funny thing. So like me personally, I would hate anybody who opts out of bowl games and certainly the end of the season when things are left, but I'm not going to let that stop me from drafting somebody if they're really good. Now, DeQuan Finn is not that kind of guy, but like if you told me Fernando Mendoza, or if you told me Jeremiah Love, which he didn't. If you told me Jeremiah Love opted out from the bowl game, and he's really good, he's the number one running back that's going to be in the draft, like I would still draft him. I'd tell him I'm disappointed you opted out, but like I'm still going to draft the guy because he's just that good. DeQuan Finn is not good enough to have that happen.
Well, and it's also not apples to apples because Jeremiah Love, being the running back and just opting out of a bowl would be one thing. But when you're the quarterback for Miami of Ohio, you're still in the championship hunt for your conference, and you opt out with a couple games to go in the regular season. I mean, you could call it opting out, but that's quitting. I don't get it.
It's being selfish. It's being selfish, which makes me think, and you're probably right, that there was something else that happened, and they're trying to help the kid out by not letting what happened or letting what actually happened get out. And if it really is him getting ready for the draft, all right, that's great. I mean, okay, maybe you get drafted in the 6th round, but like that is a bad look.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's exactly that. Chuck Martin was just wanting to help him out in his future and not letting that go public. But all right, we'll get back to the games here. Saturday, again, the loaded Saturday, December 27th slate, the New Mexico Bowl, University Stadium, Albuquerque, New Mexico, where the University of New Mexico plays their home games. 5:45 Eastern kick here. It is North Texas and San Diego State. Interesting handicap here, Matt. We are seeing the Mean Green -3 and a hook as the favorite, 52 being the total. Again, good matchup, North Texas and San Diego State, Matt.
Yeah, this one's a fun one, the handicap. And when I say fun, I mean it's going to drive you insane. So Drew Mestamaker's in the portal. Obviously, North Texas, without their head coach, Eric Morris, is leaving for Oklahoma State. But their starting quarterback is in the portal. But, Drew, if we want to put on our a detective hat, the team put out last night, actually, a graphic saying, here comes the bowl game. Drew Mestamaker was the graphic for the bowl game, saying, here's what's coming up. It doesn't say he's playing. He's number one on the depth chart. Now, I've learned over my years in the media, the depth chart doesn't mean anything, really, for the most part. The depth chart is usually put out by the SID. It's not usually put out by the head coach. Now, it might be a little different in season, but preseason, it's usually the SID who puts this stuff out. But, like, this handicap completely changes if he's in there. If he's in there, 3.5 is cheap, and you're probably going in that direction. Now, as I said, the coach is gone. All the other coaches are staying, though, and the special teams coach, Drew Svoboda, is going to be the interim coach. So, like, unlike other places, the offensive coordinator is still there. The defensive coordinator is still there. The only one who's gone right now is the head coach. So I think that matters for North Texas. I think that matters. On the San Diego State side, no Jaden Denegal. He underwent surgery, so it's Bert Emanuel Jr. I remember many a action game with Bert Emanuel Jr. Bert Emanuel Jr. is a guy with, I think, a great arm. It just doesn't know where it's going, and he's got mobility. Like, right, Drew? You remember Bert Emanuel Jr. He's got a great arm. Oh, yeah. It's just we don't know where it's going half the time. For him, he's got 2 wide receivers who are out for the season. Now, most of them have been out for, Napier's been out for a couple weeks, and Bostic's been out, so he's down a couple wide receivers. San Diego State goes as their defense goes. Their defensive coordinator left. So they're putting the passing game coordinator as the interim defensive coach. So they're taking an offensive coach and making him the defensive coordinator. So, like, that's really weird to me. So, as I said, there's just a lot of things going on here. It's also an outdoor game. The weather looks okay in Albuquerque so far, so that's good. But here's my handicap, Drew. I don't know if Mestamaker's playing. If Mestamaker's playing, North Texas is the play here. I mean, if you want to guess the fact that this program put him on the graphic for the bowl game, and he is number one on the depth chart, even though the depth chart lies sometimes. 3.5 is cheap here. I'm going North Texas. If you think that he's actually not going to play in this game, then I would wait because you're probably, see, I don't know. This might be the best number because everybody might bet San Diego State. Problem is, Drew, as I said, they're a defensive team, and now the passing game coordinator from the offensive side is their defensive coordinator. Like, how does he know anything? He's not even on the defensive staff. So it's like, this is a very tough game, Drew, to handicap on Tuesday, certainly. It all depends on if the starting quarterback plays for North Texas.
Yeah, again, I mean, it should be a fun one. And if he does play, obviously that'd be better for the competitiveness. Again, it's a tough one. I haven't bet it. We'll see coming Saturday. Do have a question here from Canes Man Laz. Thanks for joining us. If Byron Brown goes to Auburn, does Deuce Knight transfer? Thoughts? I mean, I think Byron Brown would be the starter, Canes, but I don't know in terms of does he transfer. I mean, in today's age of college football, obviously it's heightened. That wouldn't be a good thing long-term because Byron Brown would only have 1 year. I don't know, tough to keep up with, man. But yeah, it would be elevated that he does transfer because I think Byron Brown is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Any quick thoughts there, Matt?
I mean, I like Byron Brown. I like him a lot, and I think he'll be pretty, I think there'll be a lot surrounding him in this stuff. I think there'll be a lot of guys who are interested in him. So we'll see. I think that the one I see my one thing here, Drew, with you in terms of the Deuce Knight thing is, since Auburn's coming off a bad year, I don't think they care about the future. I think they care about next year. So I feel like this is one of those things where they're okay with Byron Brown. If he replaces Deuce Knight, like, I think that's fine. But then again, Auburn has a lot of money. And so if they wanted to pay Deuce Knight to basically do nothing, then I think they can do that.
Yeah, that's another thing. The backup, it's almost like, becoming the NFL where the backup quarterback matters. You don't want just a nobody back there. So that's another thing. What if they come to him and say, yeah, Byron Brown's coming, and hey, by the way, we'll offer you $1 million too. So that might change things. Good point there, Matt. Thanks for the question, Canes. As we got a next one up, 7:30 Eastern. It is Virginia and Missouri. Good matchup here, Matt, with Missouri -4, -4.5. There is -3.5. So some opinion in the marketplace here for the Saturday night game. The Gator Bowl in Everbank Stadium, Jacksonville, Florida. That is where the Jaguars play their home games. 45 being the total. We get the ACC and the SEC going at it in Jacksonville, Virginia and Missouri Saturday night.
I mean, the handicap here is, do we think Virginia's hungover? I mean, that's the whole handicap here. Missouri, on the Missouri side of things, their starting quarterback and 2 wide receivers have entered the portal. Matt Zollers will be a quarterback. He has started in 3 games. He's not Bo Pribula, but he's not terrible. Like, he's a competent starting quarterback. The other thing is, obviously Ahmad Hardy. Ahmad Hardy is coming back next year. Virginia has a really good rush defense, but how many guys have they faced that are as good as Ahmad Harris? Ahmad Hardy. I was looking at something else. So, and then you just look at Virginia, like Virginia's side of things. I mean, they've got 1 guy in the transfer portal. So far, everything else seems pretty healthy with regards to Virginia. So the question is, do we think they're ready for this game? Part of me says yes. Part of me says that by the time we get to Saturday, after 2.5, 3 weeks since the ACC championship game, I think the disappointment is worn away. I think that the disappointment is worn away to the excitement of, we're in a really good bowl game here. We're playing an SEC opponent. We have an opportunity to take a, I think, 10-win season and make it an 11-win season. My thing is, this could be the game to bet live. I got to, wait to see the first drive or two. Is Chandler Morris throwing the ball all over the place? Like, is Virginia engaged? If you don't want to guess that, or if you don't want to wait, then I would take Virginia. I think they will be engaged. I think that this is a defense that is pretty good against the run. You put Zollers in there. You have a couple wide receivers in the portal. Like, this is a team that doesn't have a lot of weapons as it is. And I think Chandler Morris, after throwing the crucial interception to lose them the game in the ACC championship, I think he'll play better. And I think that Tony Elliott will have these guys ready. The thing is, your handicap might be different. Your handicap might be Virginia's going to be hungover. Missouri's the SEC. Everything runs through the SEC. I'm taking Missouri at -4. Whatever it is, like, I think that's why I suggest waiting and seeing what the game looks like to see. If Virginia's ready and engaged, I think they can win this game outright. If Virginia is hungover, I think Missouri could win this game by 2 touchdowns.
Matt, we got next one up. It is the nightcap on Saturday. So remember, 8 games on Saturday here. And this is the nightcap, 9:15 Eastern. LSU and Houston in the Texas Bowl, NRG Stadium, Houston, Texas, where the Texans play their home games. It is -2 and a hook. That's Houston as the home favorite, 41.5 being the total here, Matt.
So I mean, this is a tough one. For LSU, their cornerback, Mansour Delane, the former Hokie, he's opting out. 2 others are in the portal. Harold Perkins isn't playing in this game either. No Nussmeier, so it'll be Michael Van Buren. Now, Michael Van Buren's played a bunch, so it's not that much of a loss. There's a couple wide receivers who are injured. We don't know if they're going to play or not. On the Houston side of things, Houston's essentially home, NRG Stadium. Like, that's Houston. So, like, Houston doesn't have to travel far. Even if they're unmotivated, they don't have to go anywhere. Because they're playing this game at home. I'm not a Connor Weigman guy. I think he's okay. I don't think he's great in terms of Houston's quarterback, but I think they're going to be more motivated to be there than LSU. LSU's defense is going to be ravaged. Like, without Delane and without Perkins and without a couple of other guys, like, my thought is, why does LSU want to play this game? The only thing I could say here is to be in the good graces of Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's watching this game. He's going to see who's trying and who's not trying. And the guys who are not trying, he will, send out of this program. So that would be the only reason why that I think LSU gives it any sort of effort in this game. But I can't get away from the fact that Houston's home. So slightly into Houston here. This is not going to be a game I'm betting on Saturday, but I can't imagine that LSU's motivated for this contest other than to impress Lane Kiffin.
Guys, we got, Matt, 1 game left. We're doing the Monday game, right? Are we
Correct?
Okay, and then we'll come back and do the Tuesday game for the next bowl. And a bunch of comments here, guys. Thanks for chiming in. Appreciate it, Canes. I think Golish was a great hire for Auburn. Absolutely. So do I. I mean, I got friends texting me all the time, like, we got a Russian as the head coach. I love what he did at USF. I think Auburn needs that. Auburn is a job where, yeah, it's a great job. They got a lot of money behind them, a lot of prominent alumni, but your main rivals are Georgia and Alabama, and you're recruiting again. You need a guy with a little temperament like Alex Golish. I think it was a great hire as well. I'm excited for the future. The best hire, absolutely, since Malzahn, but that's not saying much with the last couple of hires. We got BG in the house saying, how will Notre Dame be next season? I would say good. I mean, they got a good coach, good core, and they got some money behind them. So I'm not going to count out Notre Dame by any means. Canes in the house. Any thoughts or smoke with the Michigan job? I think Drinkowitz would be a good hire for them. Sure, offensively, I agree with you. I mean, I haven't really kept up with the coaching search just because there's so much going on right now, guys. I don't know that I'm the best person to answer this with college basketball, college football, the NFL going on. So for like next season coaching, I'm probably not the best guy to ask. And BJ saying, do you think Marcus Freeman goes to the NFL? I haven't heard anything about that. No, my personal opinion is no. Matt, you got anything on these comments?
Well, Notre Dame's schedule easy again next year. So like there's 8 or 9 wins at least with like 1 or 2 toss-up games. The Wisconsin, if Wisconsin's got a long way to go, they've got like 1 or 2 really tough games next year. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter because unfortunately Notre Dame negotiating that top 12 thing kind of makes it so they just have to get in the top 12 and that's it. The Marcus Freeman thing, like there are people who think he's the leader for the Giants job, which I think is crazy because if you're Marcus Freeman, you are in great standing with Notre Dame. You are in great standing with arguably what? Top 5, top 3 brands in America for college football. It's probably Michigan, USC, and Notre Dame brand-wise. I know I didn't say an SEC school. I'm sorry. But like, if you think of brands in college football, those are the first 3 brands you think of. So he is doing a tremendous job. He's young. Notre Dame's got endless amounts of money that they could pay him. Why would he go to the NFL to coach the Giants? Now, granted, the Giants situation is better than others. You've got a franchise quarterback. You've got a franchise running back. You've got a franchise wide receiver. Like, you've got the starting pieces of a really good offense. And that's better than if you took like the Jets job or if you took like a different job. So I get it why people would want the Giants job, but like, man, you're at Notre Dame. Like, you basically would have to fail miserably for what, 2 or 3 years in a row to lose your job at Notre Dame. Like, we've seen NFL coaches who are losing their jobs after 1 year. So as your comment says right there, the job security is way better at Notre Dame. Now the pressure's way more at Notre Dame than it would be at the Giants, but like, he's handling it so far. And then the Michigan job, much like the Penn State job, is getting everybody else more money, which I find hilarious. Remember when the Penn State job came out and then Matt Rule got a new contract? And then I'm trying to remember, there was like 1 or 2 other guys because they were being mentioned with Penn State who are getting more money. We've seen that with Michigan now. The Dillingham at Arizona State just got a contract extension. I think there was another guy who just got a contract extension. I do find it funny that Biff thinks he's in the mix for the job. I can't see Michigan hiring Biff Poggi. That would be a disaster in my mind. I get that he's been there and I get that he's a Michigan man, but like, him saying that it's been a dirty program and not being run the right way when he's been there for what, 2 of the last 3 seasons is pretty funny. He's not getting the job. I think Drink would be very good. I think that they would benefit from. Look, I still think DeBoer's not dead, but probably because they won their playoff game. I think there's a lot of good coaches out there. I think Jed Fish wouldn't be bad at Washington. I think Jed Fish would work. I mean, it's not necessarily the sexiest name, and he would be what, number 4 or 5 on their list. I think it'd be funny if they took Matt Campbell somehow from Penn State. They were like, we'll pay Matt Campbell's buyout, and he's going to come be a Michigan man. Because, if Matt Campbell was out there, this job search would be over. Matt Campbell would be at Michigan instead of Penn State. But he's not. He's at Penn State. So it'll be interesting to see who they get at Michigan, because they're not going to be the number 1 choice. They're not going to be the number 2 choice. Heck, they might not even be the number 3 choice. And how do they handle being the number 4 choice at one of the top 3 brands in college football?
Matt, I got a name. I want to throw it out there, get your initial reaction. It's not sexy. I haven't heard anybody else throw it out there, but doing sports betting, watching college football, this guy is one of, if not the best coaches out there. X's and O's. You put money behind him, I think it would be a success. I wanted Auburn to hire him. Willie Fritz.
I like Willie Fritz. I mean, Willie Fritz succeeds everywhere he goes. My thing is, and he's at Houston now, right? Yeah, he's at Houston. So,
I mean, I know he's in his 60s. It's not the sexy hire, but man, in today's college football, I think it would work.
See, my problem here is this. Like, Michigan's such a good job, but like, they could have gotten Jason Candle. And I think, I think Jason Candle would have done well. It would have been a tough sell for Michigan fans to hire the Toledo coach. Like, there are some really good G5 coaches out there that I think would be good for this job, but would be a tough sell for Michigan alums. I think Willie Fritz is good. I think they need somebody younger than Willie Fritz. I think they need somebody who they know, if they're good, is going to stay for 10 to 12 years. I don't think Willie Fritz is staying for 10 to 12 years. That's my problem with that.
Yeah, but you bring up success everywhere he goes. And I always go back to when you're recruiting these kids. 1, it's about the money now, but 2, remember when you were 18 years old coming out of high school? I know I related the same with a 65-year-old guy, probably better than I did with a 45-year-old guy. It's all the same.
So I'm trying to remember my list that I had. So I had my list for Virginia Tech, and they obviously didn't hire anybody on my list. What about if they hired Gus Malzahn?
Oh, great hire. Another one. Malzahn is another guy that's had a lot of success, and Auburn shoved him out the door. They shouldn't have. They paid the price for the last decade since firing him, and we saw what the offense could do there at Florida State in the beginning. I think Malzahn would be a great hire.
I just feel like it's a tough convincing somebody about a coordinator, but like I feel like he's got a ton of coaching experience and he coached in the SEC. And let's remember, in 5 years, there's going to be a lot of changes to the conferences. There's going to be a lot of teams moving in and out of all different conferences. I think Gus Malzahn's perfectly positioned to move Michigan into the new era, and I think that he would be a good coach. But I haven't seen his name mentioned anywhere. I think Gus Malzahn will be a great hire for Michigan.
I do as well. And thanks for the comments, guys. We got one game left. We got a best bet. The last one here from BJ. Thoughts on Notre Dame USC rivalry being halted. Irish will play BYU instead. I mean, you can see why. USC going into the Big Ten. Why add another out of conference tough game? So, I mean, you can almost see it coming. Any quick thoughts there, Matt?
I do find it funny. There was this story, like a month ago, that everybody was trying to freeze Notre Dame out. And then here's BYU like, yeah, we'll play you guys. So it's actually, and as much as I want to blame Notre Dame for this, I actually read it was the USC side that was very concerned about playing Notre Dame because they saw how the losses, like how Texas's loss to Ohio State hurt them. I mean, look, I'm the type of guy that says rivalries are great, but we can start new rivalries. We can begin new rivalries. If Notre Dame and BYU want to play each other and then they're going to play each other for a bunch, I know it's only a 2-year contract, but maybe they'll enjoy playing each other and play longer. So okay, it's a shame that this USC Notre Dame rivalry is going to end for now, but let's start some new ones. Let's get some new things going.
Sure. I'm a big fan of regional rivalries. So the fans can get into it a little bit more as well. All right. We got one game left. Best bet coming up Monday, December 29th. And then guys, we'll do one more bowl session here for every game on the board. 2:00 Eastern on Monday, Georgia Southern and App State. Of course, these two talking about rivalries, they've had a rivalry for quite some time. And Monday, 2:00, it is -7 now. Georgia Southern as the favorite. We've seen a 5-point move here towards Georgia Southern, as high as -7.5, 59 and a hook being the total. This is the Birmingham Bowl. Birmingham, Alabama, Georgia Southern, and App State.
This is the true degenerate bowl. I can't bet on this game. I really can't. Here's why. We just saw this game. November 6th, they played each other. Now, granted, look, Georgia Southern's got some injuries. Running back O.J. Arnold, wide receiver Dallin Cobb, they both missed the last game. I haven't heard anything about their status. It's something to kind of watch out for. Now we're almost a week away from this podcast, so there's going to be a lot more information that comes out about this game. The reason why the line jumped was because A.J. Swan and J.J. Cole, the top two quarterbacks for Appalachian State, they both entered the portal. Now, I think there's some thought that maybe one of them will still play. Remember, so as we talked about way back in the beginning of this podcast, some teams allow their portal guys to play. And so there is some thought as to maybe one of them would play in this game. If they don't, there's a freshman, Noah Gillian, or senior Billy Wiles as their two quarterbacks on the roster. There's a couple of other starters that have entered the portal as well for Appalachian State, 3 other starters overall. I mean, I know this is bad for the pie. I don't need to bet this game. I don't need to bet this game. We've already saw it. Here's the thing. I'll tell the people who are watching this. If you're handicapping this game, you look at what happened on November 6th, you kind of take it into account, but these are two different teams 2 months later because of the people that are opting out, that are in the portal, the injuries and stuff like that. So, I get it. It was a 25-23 game last time, so you're probably thinking it could be a little lower scoring. Granted, the total is a very high total in this game, but, we don't know who the App State quarterback is. I'd look maybe at an App State team total under here, but Georgia Southern's defense isn't even that good. So, this is a very tough game to handicap here, and certainly it's a tough game to handicap a week out almost. But, if you don't have to, don't bet this game. There's Monday Night Football. I don't know who the Monday night game is that night in the NFL, but there's got to be a player prop or two in the Monday night game if you have to take something or anything on that day.
Yeah, you can see what they did. By the way, guys, these are two Sun Belt Conference teams playing in this bowl game, 2:00 on a Monday. Yeah, the degenerate special for sure. And these are two teams, you can see what they did. I mean, App State is 5-7. They didn't qualify for a bowl, but they had to keep going down until somebody accepted. App State accepted. And these are two teams that are rivals. They don't like each other. And they actually made the move up in FBS together from, I believe, the Southern Conference in the FCS. So, yeah, it is what it is. Monday afternoon, degenerate special. All right, Matt.
I'm very disappointed because Temple was one of the teams that they offered this bowl game to. And apparently either Temple turned it down, or if you try and believe what the school put out in terms of a statement, well, we were going to talk to some people and get back to them. And by the time we got back to them, they gave it to Appalachian State, which to me, if you're going to hand me a bowl game, I'm going to say yes. And as a Temple fan, I would have been thrilled if Temple was in a bowl game. I don't care that they were 5-7. It would have said that Casey Keeler did good stuff for this team. But it really disappointing in my mind to see that Temple turned this game down and is trying to save face by basically what I'm guessing is lying to everybody and saying, oh, yeah, we were just going to decide and get back to them.
I believe Auburn turned it down too, which made me mad because why not take the extra, 15 bowl practices, even if it's all backups? I don't get it, Matt.
Right, exactly. You see a lot of momentum from the previous season start during bowl season because it's extra practice. And a lot of these coaches will let the younger guys practice more so that way they can get ready for next year. There's no reason to me, unless the budgets are really that bad for your school and you don't want to travel to Birmingham and play in this game.
The bowls pay for the travel.
They pay for the travel, but you also have to pay for tickets. They charge the schools for, a chunk of tickets. And if you're convinced that your team and that you're not going to be able to sell them, then you've got to buy the tickets. So that's part of it as well.
Interesting stuff, Matt. Jam-packed podcast. It is time for best bets. Do you like one of these that we broke down more than the others?
So, okay, I'm going to give you – so the best bet I'm going to give out is the first quarter under in the Minnesota-New Mexico game. I got it at 10. That was on Bet365. So I got it at 10. I don't hate it at 9.5, but I'd prefer to get a 10. Some places you could buy the point and get 10.5, but pay a little juice. Here's the other thing situationally, I'll say, which would be best bets if we had more information. I like the over in the UTSA FIU game. A ton of guys are going to be out for UTSA, but we don't know all of them. My concern with making it a standard best bet is if Owen McCown is out, that could be concerning for UTSA, but I think FIU is going to score in this game. I kind of lean to Penn State in this situation. There could be a lot of changes for the roster between now and Saturday. And then also, as I talked about, I really like UConn if we hear that Skylar Bell and Cam Edwards are playing, only if Nick Evers is their quarterback. If Nick Evers is their quarterback, I think they can move the ball in Army in that game. I would look at the UConn team total over. We don't know that right now, so I can't give that out as a best bet because it's on Saturday. And then the other thing is the Drew Mestemaker thing. If Drew Mestemaker is playing, I like North Texas in that game. The fact that the defensive coordinator for San Diego State is going to be an offensive coach, that's concerning to me. And I think Drew Mestemaker will want to go out and perform really well because he's in the portal and is going to get a lot of money. So he wants to show one last good film for somebody else. So those are other potential best bets based on situations. But Drew, let's go with the age-old bet, first quarter under in Minnesota games. For those who don't want to watch the beginning, Minnesota is averaging 0.9 points per first quarter this season against FBS opponents. It's a bet that we've made a lot of money on, and I'm going to do it one more time.
If it's not broken, don't fix it. He's Matt Josephs at Mid-Major Matt, ESPN Richmond. Matt, anything else you want to throw out before we shut this down?
I was really proud of JMU last week. I know that Oregon probably wasn't playing their best in the third or fourth quarters, but JMU had over 400 yards of offense, only team in the country to have over 400 yards of offense against Oregon's defense. I think they proved they belong. They played better than Texas A&M did. Granted, Texas A&M and Miami, that's, a different type game. But I was really proud of JMU, and I'm glad that they made the college football playoff. And to the haters, when these guys enter the transfer portal and go to your favorite school, even though you said they don't belong in the same field, I want you to come back to me and apologize, because there's going to be a bunch of transfer portal guys from JMU who go out there and they're going to go to SEC schools and Big 10 schools and Big 12 schools, and they're going to win a lot of games for you guys. And you were the ones who said, oh, they don't belong in the same field. They don't have great athletes. Well, those not so great athletes are going to be joining your school soon. So get ready for it.
Matt, one follow-up question there. I know you're in and around some heavy hitters in college football making some decisions. Are they going to do anything about this transfer portal? Put some rules, some stipulations? Because I do think it's hurting the overall sport, just being able to go wherever you want year after year.
No. The NCAA is a bunch of morons. They're not. They know they should, but they're not going to. That's the problem. And so when you look at what they're doing, There might be slight changes. Like the whole calendar's messed up. Like, why can't we open the portal after bowl season? Why can't we allow coaching changes after bowl season? Like, let's open up like a month window and have all this stuff happen so that way all these schools can have their head coaches and all these schools can have their full rosters and everything. But the NCAA is run by a bunch of morons, and so it's going to continue to be this way. So, no, Drew, there will not be changes, unfortunately, even though there's probably some very easy ones that they can make.
That there is, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to comment below. I'll be in there chiming in as well. As we got at Mid Major Matt, where you can follow Matt, and at Drew Martin Betts. This is every game on the board. We will do one more here and finish off bowl season and playoff analysis. So come back and join us next week, guys. Until then, thanks for tuning in. Cash those tickets and enjoy the holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating out there. For Matt Josephs, Drew Martin, checking out. Cash those tickets.